Hey, good evening. Not as usual, good morning. Yeah, some of you may have noticed that I didn't publish any video yesterday. Um, yeah, yesterday in the morning a whole bunch of things went wrong. I had all kinds of technical issues dealing with a new microphone that made weird sounds, and the recording suddenly stopping out of nowhere. And for me, if if the technology doesn't work smoothly, then I just lose the flow, and then for me the magic's gone. Um, yeah, so I ended up looking at the material and trying to put together a video, but then I decided, you know what, it's nothing that I want to put out there. Yeah. And I've also seen the subject, depending on how you look at it, is so vast that it's not easy to even talk on it. No? Yeah, I really appreciated the comment from 2 days ago that said how if we got all wrong, and actually it's just about being really open and with a childlike curiosity. Yeah. What if that's all that that it takes? Yeah, in general I do agree, but then the question is, if you're in a deep energetic hole, either physically or mentally, how do you reconnect, right? How do you find being again, so to say? I'm going to switch the camera around and just walk around a bit. Obviously, my lens is heavily biased through my experiences, right? The experience of having been completely sick and, well, down and out. So how do you get back from there? And even though I know, because I've experienced it, that even in those moments, you can still experience deep connection with Source, the universe, or whatever you want to call it, and there can be absolute peace, and all your symptoms go to the background, and then there is just love and an incredible intimacy with everything that is. Every sense perception is so wonderful and awe-inspiring that, well, nothing big needs to happen. It's already enough. Whatever is enough. But the problem that I see is normally these experiences last for a few seconds, a few hours, maybe a few days. And then what happens? They suddenly become a memory. And then typically we don't have access to them anymore. Yeah? We don't have emotional access to the experience anymore. We're now dealing with a memory, and we look at this memory, but it doesn't serve us very much. So the question is, now if you end up in an experience that is so challenging because either you feel your life is threatened, or you feel completely stuck, let's say, you might also be completely frustrated, lost all confidence. How do you get out of that energetic hole and somehow, reconnect to being, I would say? That is the question, and that's why I use pictures like, how do you get a foot in the door? Because what's the point of dealing with concepts that, yes, in essence are true, but if they are not a reality that is accessible to you, well, how much does it serve you? It's all in the head. So Yeah, regarding the video from a few days ago, I think it was number 16, I said something like all in versus slow and steady. And I can imagine that depending on where you are in life at the moment, you might have heard that as, you know what, maybe I don't even start. And it is true, sometimes, especially when it comes to very time-consuming learning processes like learning a new language, I really do recommend to not even touch it if there's not enough time and energy available at that moment. But when it comes to emotional and spiritual processes, I think it's oftentimes better to just start with whatever is possible. Even if it's just the 10-second stop in meditation. Yeah, and then build from there. When I started a journey back in Jan, I started with 10 minutes of meditation because I could hardly sit. And then build up from there. No? The last thing I want to say today really is I see one big fundamental problem, and that is the idea or the concept of wanting to reach somewhere, trying to reach somewhere because that somewhere is holding the promise that I will be okay. And that, that could look many ways. It could look like whatever. If I get the health, or if I get the wealth, or if I get the name and fame, or if I get the right body, or if I get the languages, or the sports, or the arts, or you name it. It could be anything potentially, right? But they all have in common that we kind of lift our gaze and we look into the future and we lose connection with now. And in that, we lose connection with being. And that has dramatic consequences. We're now focused on a future thing that hopefully will arrive. But even if it arrives, we find out it wasn't what we thought it would be. So we have sacrificed connection with presence for the promise of something in the future. And I see the great difference between the so-called civilized world and young children and the uncivilized world. Yeah. Because yes, they do a whole lot, but they don't get lost in doing. I would say they do from a state of being still. And I find that is an absolutely fascinating subject, a topic. And well, that is my main focus actually on this journey again. No? My main point was to reconnect with presence. For me, the main tool is meditation. But I think it could be anything, potentially. I think what is universal in whatever you choose to do is to access kind of a realm of stillness. And I don't mean that there is no sound at all, but that the internal chatter, so to say, either stops or greatly diminishes. And then I would say the hallmarks are you lose sense of time, and then there's awe. And as I'm saying awe, my mind is stopping. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say today. Sending you a big hug.